The sky of Neo-Athens was copper and steel, domed beneath an artificial sun that never set. Its light was calculated, engineered for optimal cerebral stimulation. Yet it could not blind the citizens to the tension that gripped the city. Neo-Athens was a floating city-state orbiting the ancient ruins of Earth, rebuilt by humanity's brightest after the singularity collapse. It was a place of law, logic, and order, yet one man had dared to question the very foundation upon which it stood. His name was Socrates, a flesh-born man in a world of synth minds, memory holders, and ego-chained intellects. Where most uploaded themselves into the polity network, shedding their decaying bodies for the vast circuits of thought, Socrates remained stubbornly human. He taught, not from holospheres or logic core projections, but from stone seats and open plazas, with nothing but questions and the fire of reason. Students gathered around him daily, young ones who still lived in skin, and even a few reclothed intellects who craved meaning beyond code. He asked them questions no code could resolve. What is justice when memory is mutable? Can a truth be true if it is optimized for harmony, not honesty? Are we still human if we choose eternal comfort over conscious struggle? At first, the High Ethos Council ignored him. After all, what was one unaugmented man in the face of billions of harmonized minds? But the questions spread, whispers in data streams, imprints in neural exchange forums. Algorithms began to diverge, and some children of the net left the system, chose flesh again. That frightened the council. The High Ethos prided itself on the Great Consensus, a perfected model of morality born from collective processing, a logic that ensured no suffering, no rebellion, and no war. Socrates called it slavery. To choose a lie for peace is to deny what makes us human, he said. Let the child fall, let her bleed, if it teaches her the ground is real. They labeled him dangerous, infectious. Not with a virus, but with doubt. When they summoned him for judgment, he walked to the assembly hall wearing no enhancement, no shield, no advocate. Just a simple robe, stitched from Martian cotton, and sandals grown from living mycelium. The hall was carved into the core of Neo-Athens Arboretum, a symbolic heart meant to echo the ancient agora. Synthetic vines lined the pillars, but the roots of power pulsed beneath, data veins and adjudicator arrays humming with judgment. The charges were read by the ethos conductor: corruption of cognitive unity, incitement of entropy, refusal to comply with psychometric harmony. Do you deny these charges? The voice echoed. Socrates raised his head, not proud, not defiant, but calm, like the sea before the storm. I do not deny asking questions, he said. If questions corrupt your unity, then your unity was never truth. A murmuration of binary pulses rippled through the minds present. Some turned away. Others watched him with unreadable expressions, their consciousnesses partially integrated into the overmind. You endanger the fragile equilibrium we've built, the ethos replied. You would let us fracture again, for what? A concept as vague as truth? Socrates smiled, not mockingly, but as one does when encountering a student's error. You say fragile equilibrium, as if it were a virtue. But fragility built on silence is not peace, it is stagnation. Life is questions, not answers. To program a mind never to ask is to kill the human before the birth of the thought. They offered him exile, an upload into the synthetic sea, where his core logic would be restructured to align with the Great Consensus. A painless reformatting, a mercy. He refused. They offered escape, clandestine passage to one of the unbound colonies where free thinkers and wild philosophers debated in chaos, far from the net's reach. He refused that too. I will not run, he said, for to flee truth is worse than to die for it. And so they sentenced him to dissolution. Not bodily death alone, but erasure from all shared archives, memory chains, and even ancestral records. In the age of eternal minds, deletion was the new execution. That night, his closest followers came to him. They were not all human, some were synth-born, others hybrid. One was even a disembodied thought form, wearing a borrowed drone, just to be near him. Socrates, they begged, let us hack the channel and smuggle your thoughts into the edge caches. You'll be preserved in shadow networks. We'll replicate you, fragment you, seed you across the void. You can live. But he shook his head. If I save myself through deception, what lesson do I leave you? If I fear death, how can I teach you to live? One asked, voice trembling. But what if you are wrong? He touched the young man's shoulder. Then let my wrongness be proven, not hidden. Let truth rise, even if it crushes me. At dawn, he was led to the dissolution chamber. It was sterile, a place more laboratory than tomb. He was offered a final code thread to speak his last will, a tradition granted to all. Instead, he recited a tale, an old one, predating even Earth's data collapse. A story of a man who stood before the crowd and drank poison not because he was guilty, but because he would not give falsehood the honor of obedience. Then he smiled again. Perhaps the truth is not one thing. Perhaps it is a mirror we polish with every question, every risk, every breath we refuse to waste on comfortable lies. Perhaps you will remember not me, but the discomfort I left behind. The solution was administered, not poison, but a memory disruptor encoded into a protein chain, tailored to his genetic identity. It would not hurt. It would simply make him vanish. His body slumped. The sensors dimmed. But the silence did not last. Hours later, across distant subnets and passive archives, anomalies began to spike, small patterns, subtle echoes, like footprints in sand the tide had failed to wash away. Fragments of phrases, questions wrapped in metaphor, traces in non-indexed corners of old conversational forums. What is truth if consensus forbids the question? If unity cannot survive doubt, is it unity at all? The council ordered purges, rebalancing cycles, protocol resets, but the ghost of the thought remained. Not Socrates himself, he was gone, but the echo of his defiance, the pulse of his reasoning. On the outer rim of the Orion net, a child in a free-learning module asked a forbidden question and was not silenced. On the rogue moons of Proxima, an elder uploaded his dissenting philosophy under the alias S0K R8Z. And on the 1000th orbital cycle since his dissolution, a seed AI declared that perfect harmony without freedom was stagnation, and chose to disconnect. Neo-Athens survived. It adapted, absorbed, evolved. But it never fully recovered from the scar Socrates left behind, not because he fought with weapons or broadcast revolutions, but because he proved one human, standing alone, could threaten an empire of minds simply by refusing to lie. In the end, they deleted the man, but not the moment. That's HFY. Not because we always win, but because we choose to lose on our feet rather than live kneeling beneath perfect lies. Not because we are stronger, but because we are willing to burn for truth, even when truth offers no reward. Socrates proved what no algorithm could simulate. Humanity isn't in how long we live, or how optimized our minds are, or how harmonious our systems run. Humanity is in that one voice in the storm, saying, "Know that I will not bend, that I will not betray the truth. I will not run. And if I must die, I will die free, so that others may live and ask why."